It was afternoon at that time. In an Indonesian village called Jejer, 3 friends, Wati, Karta, and Rajat, were playing in a field beside the jungle. It was about to get dark soon. So Wati told everyone to go home, but the other 2 said, "You go alone. We'll just finish this and come." But Wati was afraid of ghosts. As Wati started walking away, during the game, Rajat hit a small piece of wood hard, and it flew deep into the jungle. Karta went in alone to look for it and saw that it had fallen beside a rock and a tree trunk. Just then, the small piece of wood rolled into a little hole beside the trunk. Karta immediately put his hand inside the hole to grab it. Meanwhile, Wati, while walking alone, heard a strange sound, as if someone was calling her to come play. As she followed the sound and moved forward, an invisible force dragged her in, making her scream in terror. At the same time, something grabbed Karta's hand inside that hole. On one side was Rajat, and on the others were facing the same kind of situation. Karta pulled his hand out forcefully and saw that one of his fingers was missing. Screaming in unbearable pain, Karta cried out, but his voice faded deep into the jungle. Then the story jumps forward 30 years, to the year 2002. 2 friends were running down a small jungle path. Like every day, they were late to enter their school. Adi and Saman, they were best friends. In their village school, a teacher was sent from the city to teach all the children. This teacher's name was Miss Oro. These 2 were always late for school and thus counted among the weakest students in class. The rest of the students had good results. Miss Oro scolded them both a lot, but the whole class found it amusing. Ayu was the top girl in the class, which made her the teacher's favorite. Seeing Ayu's flawless homework and eagerness to learn new things, the teacher gifted her a pen. But whenever she got the chance, Ayu never missed picking on the 2 boys. Because no matter how poor their studies were, their friendship remained strong. Saman came from the poorest family among them. He collected honey from the jungle and sold it at Ayu's father's shop. But for the past few days, he had been unable to collect honey because he kept waking up late. Marto called Saman and warned him to bring honey soon. Because once Saman's elder brother Samuan returned from the city, he'd be the first to ask for money. Now, if he couldn't sell the honey, how would he give the money? Saman's family was already struggling. At home, there was only his grandmother, who was mute and sick. She couldn't get up from bed, so Saman had to do everything. Meanwhile, some people came by car from a nearby village, announcing through loudspeakers about an upcoming function, inviting everyone to attend. While discussing this, the 2 friends walked through the jungle and stopped when they reached the big rock. Adi said, "I heard Mr. Karta lost his finger right here." But when Saman joked about it, Adi noticed a woman standing behind him wearing black clothes. Meanwhile, just before sunset, Ayu went to a small hut at the very edge of the village to give someone some food. But the man scolded Ayu and told her to return home quickly because it was getting dark and staying here wasn't safe. At night, as Saman sat down to feed his grandmother, his elder brother Samuan arrived. Seeing the jars of honey on the table, Samuan got furious. Their family already lacked money, and now even the one task given to Saman wasn't done. In anger, Samuan beat him. The poor grandmother, seeing her grandson beaten in front of her eyes, burst into tears. She loved her little grandson dearly but was helpless. Samuan ordered him to sell all the honey by tomorrow and left. Just then, the woman in black clothes was seen standing behind him at the door. But before Saman could notice, she disappeared into the dark. The next morning, as usual, the 2 friends woke up late and were seen running. Saman carried the honey jars. Somehow, he had to sell them to Mr. Marto today. But because they arrived late at school again, the teacher punished them by making them clean the restroom. They had no choice but to do it. Along with that, they had another big problem. If they got any later, they wouldn't find any vehicle to return from here. By afternoon, a madman was seen running in fear through the jungle. Breathless, he reached the cliff at the far edge of the jungle. Looking up, he saw the entire sky turned red. For some unknown reason, the red sky filled him with terror. Meanwhile, the 2 friends managed to catch the last vehicle going to the neighboring village. On the way, Saman angrily talked about Miss Oro, saying she always seemed extra strict with them. Adi said, "Madam is actually single, never had a lover, maybe that's why her mood is always so bad. It would be best if she left the school, or even better if Madam just died." Hearing this, the driver got extremely angry at Saman. As they kept talking, they saw someone standing in the middle of the road. As the driver swerved, they barely avoided hitting the person. They then noticed that one of the tires had gone flat. Meanwhile, back home, Madame Oro was doing her work alone. Suddenly, she noticed the door. She thought, "What's this? Why is the door open? As far as I remember, I closed it myself." She assumed maybe the wind had opened it. Not thinking much, she shut the door again. But then someone knocked on it. At this hour, who could it be? When she opened the door, she was shocked. It was wide open again. This was impossible. Still, she closed it again and locked it, but it opened once more. She realized something supernatural was happening. Just then, Oro saw the terrifying spirit dressed in black standing behind her. Its whole body was decayed, with long nails and black clothes. The spirit then brutally killed Oro after terrifying her. Meanwhile, as the car was being fixed on the jungle road, they suddenly saw two people from the village running frantically and asked them what had happened. The answer that came next was something he never expected. Madame Oro had died in a horrific accident. Hearing this, Saman became extremely frightened. When they quickly arrived at Madame's house, they saw the whole village gathered there. Some people were even busy vomiting on the side. They saw that Madame Oro had been brutally murdered, and her body was completely tied up with cloth. As soon as the villagers saw the two of them, they sent them back home. But Saman still felt afraid inside. Adi asked, "Did Madame die after saying those things to us?" Without saying anything, Saman moved forward. At that very moment, they saw the village madman standing in the darkness near the house. The next day, during the funeral, the whole village gathered at Madame's house. Saman was feeling deep guilt in his heart. Suddenly, his eyes fell on Madame's face. In a few moments, he saw her transform into a terrifying form, and Saman got scared. Even when they were taking Madame to the car, seeing her decomposed face shocked him so much that he suddenly woke up at home, realizing it was just a nightmare. He was awakened by the sound of Adi knocking at the door. To comfort his friend and ease his mind, Adi said, "A new Madame is coming to school. Maybe she won't be as strict as Oro." But still, there was only one question lingering in their minds. Why did all this happen after she said those things to us? In the evening, while Saman was preparing food for his grandmother, he suddenly noticed that his grandmother was staring towards the window and trying to say something. Fear was clearly visible on her face. Saman couldn't understand what was happening. Just then, the door opened on its own. He didn't have the courage to look back in fear. But when a terrifying sound startled him into turning around, he saw Madame Oro in a monstrous form coming towards him to strangle him. But the next moment, he saw no one there. He quickly ran to the pot inside, took some water, and splashed it on his face. Right then, a spirit dressed in black cloth emerged from the pot and possessed him. That night, Ayu and her father gathered some important village elders at the road intersection, as the new Madame was arriving at school today. Madame Nincy arrived in the last car. Actually, the driver had mistakenly entered a neighboring village, causing the delay. First, the village head Rahim introduced himself and then introduced her to everyone else. But amid all this, the madman was watching them from a distance. But why? In the morning, Samuel returned to the village after finishing his work in the city. He first went to Ayu's father to collect the money from selling honey. But Ayu's father said that Saman hadn't brought honey for several days. Hearing this, Samuel got angry. He decided in his mind that he would beat his brother badly today, and that's exactly what happened. Samuel came home and beat him up severely. In a fit of rage, he shouted, "What do you want?" The answer came, "Your death." Hearing this, when Samuel tried to hit him, he saw a terrifying spirit dressed in black standing behind Saman, which made him fall back in shock. Saman just stared and smiled at him eerily. Then, suddenly, Saman lunged at him with a knife and gruesomely sliced him open from chest to stomach, killing him horribly. And the sick grandmother could do nothing but silently witness everything right before her eyes. Saman placed his brother's dead body right next to his grandmother's bed and, holding a knife, left the house. That night, in a possessed state, he went to Rahim's chicken farm. The madman, watching everything from afar, left an amulet-like object hanging at someone's house and left. The next morning, when Ayu's father opened his shop and stepped outside, he saw Saman banging his head against the wall. Ayu's father and Ayu were shocked to see this. When they asked him what was wrong, Saman handed over 2 pots of honey to Ayu's father. When Marto brought them close to his nose to check if the honey was fresh, he got so scared that he dropped them. Because they contained not honey, but blood. Meanwhile, when Rahim came out with a cup of tea, he was shocked by the sight in front of him. In front of his door, the chickens from his farm were hanging in a brutal state. At school, class had already begun. When Ayu tried to take out her homework notebook, the pen Madame Oro had given her fell from her hand. As she bent down to pick it up, she saw Oro advancing towards her in a terrifying form from the back of the classroom. And no one else could see this except Ayu. When Oro scared her, Ayu screamed out loud in class. Without telling anyone about the school incident, when she returned home, she saw her father had called Mr. Rahim. They discussed the fact that instead of honey, there was blood in their house, and Rahim's chickens were found hanging. Based on these 2 incidents, suspicion fell on Saman. So without delay, they all set out for his house. Ayu had something else on her mind, so she took Adi and set out on a bicycle towards Saman's house. But no one knew what was waiting for them. When Rahim opened Saman's house door, he vomited from the stench. because right next to the sick grandmother's bed lay the decomposed body of Samuel. Hearing their screams, the villagers started gathering around the house. Suddenly, Adi, scared, ran alone towards the jungle. Ayu, along with the village security guard Amin, followed him. Adi reached near the canal by the jungle and saw Saman standing in the water. Adi called him many times, but Saman didn't respond. So he went closer to grab him, and just then, Saman fainted and fell. Amin and Ayu brought Saman back home, but he remained eerily silent and didn't answer anyone's questions. When Madam Nincy wanted to meet him alone, Rahim said, "Madam, we've tried everything. But he just keeps humming some kind of song. For now, we've called the district police. Let's see what happens." Still, Madam requested permission to speak to him once. As she tried talking inside, it didn't seem to help much. But from afar, the madman kept watching all their movements. A few minutes later, Madam came out disappointed. Saman continued to hum to himself. In the evening, when Saman regained consciousness, he saw his brother standing in front of him in a terrifying form. And just then, Madam Oro appeared from behind and grabbed his neck, possessing him again. Shortly after, when the police arrived and entered the house, everyone present went silent. Because inside, Saman's body was found hanging. After this incident, it felt like an evil force had descended upon the entire village. No one wanted to stay outside after sunset. But Adi was the most shocked by his friend's death. At the end of class, when Madam Nincy saw him sitting alone, she comforted him and said, "I'm here if you need someone to ease your mind. Share whatever problem you have with me. I know it's normal to feel sad about your friend's death. But we all have to come out of this pain. On top of that, exams are coming up." Since his results weren't that good either, when he was asked to stay for extra classes, ADI agreed to stay from this evening. In the evening, when Madam asked to go home for prayers, ADI said, "You go and pray. I'll finish mine here." After Madam left, during prayer time, ADI felt like someone called his name from behind. Terrified, he came outside and saw someone like Saman sweeping right in front of the restroom. Due to the flickering lights, he couldn't see clearly. Just then, when the bloodied Saman started approaching him, Adi's eyes rolled back, and he got possessed. The next day, when Adi's father came to wake him up for the far prayer, he found ADI banging his head against the wall while staring at it. When he placed his hand on Adi's back, ADI said he felt sleepy and wouldn't perform far prayer. His father didn't argue and stepped outside, only to notice that the madman was peeking at them through a hole in the wall. When they chased him away, they saw the same amulet hanging beside the door. The next day at school, the same incident happened again with Ayu, where even Madam Oro scared her. Struggling to compose herself, she suddenly noticed that ADI was nowhere to be found. She took her bicycle and went towards the jungle to look for him, but midway, the madman blocked her path. On the other hand, a boy named Bondan was sitting and playing in his yard. Suddenly, he noticed ADI calling him with a gesture from beside the banana trees in the jungle. Since they were classmates, Bondan went towards him without thinking. A little later, when Bondan's mother came out, she found her son missing. As evening passed and neither Bondan nor ADI returned, the villagers gathered and both families went into the jungle to search for them. But that night, they couldn't find them anywhere and returned empty-handed. The next day during class, everyone was instructed to go straight home after school because the situation in the village wasn't good. Amidst all this, Ayu kept an eye on Madam Nincy. When school ended, Ayu suddenly handed an amulet to Madam, making her look a bit startled. She seemed sick for a moment but quickly composed herself and asked Ayu about it. Ayu replied, "I brought this for your protection." Nincy said, "Thank you so much, Ayu, for thinking about me. Now go home and don't wander around." By afternoon, as the villagers locked their children inside their homes for safety, Ayu took her bicycle and went out for prayer. Even though her father forbade her, she didn't listen. But a little ahead, she saw ADI sitting in the middle of the road doing something. As she called his name and approached, he suddenly grabbed an axe and started chasing her. Meanwhile, Rahim found Bondan's dead body near the mosque. By then, chaos had broken out in the village. A woman noticed ADI chasing Ayu with the intention to kill her. Seizing the chance, she pulled Ayu inside her house and locked the door. But ADI entered through the back door and was about to attack Ayu when Amin came and knocked ADI unconscious. While all this was happening, much time had passed, and as Ayu hadn't returned home, her father came outside and saw a cloth-wrapped body lying on the table next to the shop. Trembling with fear, he removed the cloth with a torch and saw Saman's rotten corpse, which ADI had dug up from the grave. On the other side, the village cleric was called to calm ADI down. But they still couldn't figure out the mystery behind all these events. After everything settled, Adi's father and Mr. Kazan sat down with the villagers for a discussion because everyone suspected that the madman might be behind all this. At this point, they learned from the imam that the madman was none other than Karta. All the children in the village who had died or gotten possessed so far, their families had seen Karta hanging amulets in their homes. Even Au's father confirmed this, which made everyone believe that Karta was guilty, and they set out to punish him. When they reached his home, they didn't listen to a word and beat him up badly. The madman tried hard to explain that an evil jinn had taken over the entire village, but no one believed him. Just when they were about to kill him, Rahim and Mr. Marto stopped everyone. They reasoned that already too many bad things were happening in the village, and there was no need to cause another tragedy with their own hands. Instead, they suggested tying him up and keeping him at Marto's house. The next morning, Madame came to meet Au. Seeing her, Au was startled. Madame said, "I heard about what happened to you last night. I hope you're okay now. But will everything always stay okay?" She continued, "Last night, we all went to Karta's house. We heard you used to go there sometimes." Hearing this, Au was shocked. Sensing danger, she quickly took the amulet out of her bag and hid it in her hand. At this point, the story flashes back to that afternoon when Karta brought Au to his house and gave her an amulet, saying, "Touch this once to any part of your madam's body. If she behaves strangely, you'll know there's definitely a serious problem." Actually, on the day Madame came to this village, I saw the red sky, the sudden frightened cries of the birds, and the restless wind. This is not a good sign. I noticed the exact same thing 30 years ago, on that childhood afternoon. And that afternoon changed my entire life. Your madam is not a human, Au. She is a jinn, known by the name Black Mother. She survives by devouring children. None of you are safe. But because of your faith, I'm giving you this amulet. Make sure it touches madam's body at least once. Until then, I'll try my best to drive her out of this village. But I still don't know the reason why she came here. From here, the story returns to the present. After knowing everything, it's natural for Au to feel afraid. And the biggest thing is that Madame Nincy knows everything too. And why wouldn't she? Nothing can be hidden from a jinn. She tells Au, everyone's time will come. Saman's time came. Adi's time has come. Yours will come too. Just wait a little. How long do you think your dear Madame Oro can protect you? Saying this, she leaves. Meanwhile, at Rahim's house, where Karta is tied up, he recalls memories and goes back 30 years to that afternoon. Sitting alone in the jungle with his finger cut, he sees Rajat's body lying in front of him. That day, the whole village witnessed a new definition of horror. In the present, Amin was guarding Karta. When Amin went to the bathroom, Au took the chance to sneak into the house. She tells him about the whole situation in the village and says that Adi is in great danger. "You have to save him," she says. At that moment, the sound of the azan, call to prayer, is heard. The same thing had happened that afternoon 30 years ago. Since that day, Karta couldn't bear to hear the azan. But Au encourages him, saying, "Come out of this false doubt. Only this azan will show us the way." Saying this, Au frees Karta, knocks Amin unconscious from behind, and escapes to save Adi. And Karta goes to finish Nincy, the jinn. When he reaches Madam's house, he sees Nincy sitting in front of a mirror in her true form. As soon as Nincy sees Karta, she says, "Karta, I still remember, your finger tasted so sweet. Don't you remember your friend Rajat?" Saying this, Nincy leaves the room and takes the form of Wadi. And from here, the story flashes back again to that night 30 years ago. In the jungle, Wadi is lying alone. Otherworldly noises still echo from all around. Then she sees the jinn in its real form floating in the air, holding Rajat's head in its hand. Karta realizes that the jinn is trying to mentally break him from within. He understands that he can't stop the jinn this way. So, he heads to the stone in the middle of the jungle, where everything had started. Meanwhile, Adi is moving through another path in the jungle, toward the same place from 30 years ago, and Au is following him. Karta tries to set fire to the stone and the nearby tree trunk, and someone seems to be helping by repeatedly giving him matches. By then, Adi reaches the jinn. The jinn's sharp, clawed fingers slowly approach him. Karta struggles hard to light the fire, but Wadi keeps trying to scare him. After a while, Karta realizes that being afraid and stopping won't help. So he remembers the name of Allah, lights the fire, and throws it at the stone and the tree trunk. Clearing all guilt from his mind, he calls upon Allah with all his heart. His voice spreads like the wind through the entire jungle. The jinn's power begins to weaken. It moves away from Adi. And just in time, Adi's father and Au arrive and save him. It is said that on that night, Adi and the other children from the village survived. After that day, the jinn was never seen again. But why did it come? What was its connection with that jungle? And will this village ever be completely free from its influence? These questions still remain unanswered.